broadcasting from Southern California. I'm joined today by my co-hosts, Kim Lantis in Hermosillo, Mexico. Hi, Kim. Welcome back. And Carlos Ponce from Cuernavaca, Mexico. Hi, Carlos. Good to have you back as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course, why do we do this? We have our guest, Iñigo Lopez, who's actually broadcasting live just outside of Madrid, Spain. Hi, Iñigo. Welcome to the show.
Hi, hello. How are everyone doing today?
We're doing great. It's great to have you. We're looking forward to speaking with you and learning about what you're doing at your company, Eszett Business Language Services, and learning about how you're using technology to make an impact on how Fortune 500 are learning multiple languages. But before we do that, let's get to know you a little bit. Please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tulio, and thanks Carlos and being today with me, and also thank you to the audience. My name is Iñigo López, and I'm the CEO of Eszett Business Language Services. I'm based in a town called Burgos in the north of Spain, not very far away from Madrid, as Tulio said. I've been involved in languages since I first moved to Ireland when I was 20 years old. And after studying English for so many years at school, I couldn't understand a word. And nobody would understand what I was saying because of that pronunciation. That was really a shock. I lived in Ireland and then in London for a year. And then since I came back to Spain, all my professional life and experience has been in international business. I studied telecommunication engineering. And as another example of my involvement with languages, I managed a project to implement satellite telecommunications for TV and internet in Niger, in Africa, where I was traveling extensively for 3 months. Niger, it used to be a French colony. Most well-educated people speak French, but there are 11 official languages. Such as Berber, that is spoken by the people, the Berbers living in the Sahara Desert, or Hausa, which is the most spoken language in Niger and also in Nigeria. I didn't speak any French, and that's where I started to learn the language. This project changed my life. It made me think about some kind of need that I had to learn more languages and also to learn them by living in the country. So just to make short of many years, but I moved with my wife to France when I had my first kid. Then we moved to Brazil where we had our second kid. And then a few years ago, we moved back to Spain where, by the way, we got our third and last, I hope, kid. So in this process, I managed to speak fluently French, Portuguese, and also have a good knowledge of Italian and German. So that's more or less about me.
Amazing. Now that's a multinational, multicultural family right there. 3 kids born in 3 different countries. Amazing.
Yeah.
What an amazing story, really. Okay, so tell us about Eszett Business Language Services. Throughout all these travels, something must have triggered, I'm going to start a language services business. How did that come about? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, this wasn't really planned. I had been working in the industry for more than 10 years, but since long before I was like willing to do something else. And as an engineer, I thought I was prepared for anything, basically. Then when I was living in Brazil, I met my business partner, who is a German citizen, who used to be a German teacher at that time. So I thought the combination of both backgrounds, my technical and business side with his educational background, it seemed to me like a great match for an international language school. Agree. Then Eszett was born in 2011 in Brazil, as I said, with initially focusing in tutoring children, mainly from a German school in Rio de Janeiro. The main language then was German, And very soon we got other requests of other languages that we started to offer as teaching at home. So we always sent the teachers to be teaching to the kids at their home. Very soon we started to offer this for corporations to teach in company. In this time, it was mainly face-to-face, but little by little we started to offer also online for some students that requested this kind of training. The lessons, and we are talking about a few years ago, 10 years ago, they were done over Skype, then WebEx, then Zoom. But when technology improved, then we decided to invest in a platform that was specifically designed for language training with virtual classrooms for each of the lessons. Then
Sounds great. We're gonna dig into all that a little bit, in just a little bit. Maybe let's go right into it. Carlos, please, with the topic today. Let's introduce the show so we can go right into it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tulio. And thanks, Iñigo, our guest, for being with us today. So, Tulio, Kim, the topic that Iñigo chose was paperless language school of the future. So we're going to be discussing how investment in technology, as Iñigo said, allowed a language to reduce costs and its environmental impact, while providing real-time data to Fortune 500 customers. So that's the topic that our guest chose. Iñigo, please, can you tell us and the audience why you chose this particular topic and why you thought it was relevant for this day and age? Welcome to the show.
Yes. One of the things that happened with the way Eszett developed was that when we started to work for relocation management companies, we discovered that they were asking us to follow some processes, some protocols that were kind of old, in the sense that they wanted us to get an attendance report of the lessons that were taking place at the corporations on a piece of paper that was managed by the teacher, and the teacher was asking the students to sign on this piece of paper. So that was that the teacher had to scan that piece of attendance report every month and send it back to us, so that we check the number of hours, we sent back to the management companies, and then we could invoice. Of course, I said on purpose the word scan, so we asked them to scan the attendance report. But guess what? They never scanned. They took a picture of the document with better or worse quality. Normally, it was more worse than good. Sometimes the paper was cut. Sometimes they forgot to send the attendance report. That was really terrible. We had some deadlines to invoice, but some of the teachers were so slow in sending it to us at the beginning of the month as we requested. And they were back and forward with these documents that were not good enough. And to make things worse, sometimes we were not paid because they didn't like the quality of the picture. They said that they didn't see the signatures, and so on. So then we thought, okay, this is a relocation management company, so they manage the effects of Fortune 500 companies around the world, and they don't have like any technology to make this better. So this is where we started to think that at that time we were really small, but we decided that we had to invest into something to make things better, and this something could only be technology. So that's how we started to invest in technology in our company.
Fantastic.
So, I'm sorry. I have a question, but I don't know if Kim, were you going to jump in, or can I?
Go ahead, Carlos. Sorry, I'm having a bit of connectivity issues. I do have one question.
No problem at all. No problem at all. So, Inigo, I'd like to ask you, and well, I'd like to ask you many things, and this is probably because of the experience that I personally had with Eszett. Is I know that, and you mentioned a progression in terms of technology. You started out with Skype, and then Zoom, and then you jumped into a recent platform. If I recall correctly, I think it was LearnCube, right?
Yes.
All right. So during that progression, what the first question that I would like to ask you is, what sort of challenges or resistance, if that's the case, did you as a company experience when dealing with these types of tools, or having to choose one against the other? And this is because people are strange, and some prefer, specific tools, or are married mentally to, and kind of have feel uncomfortable with others. How did you manage to make it more homogeneous in terms of adoption? Was it until you reached the LearnCube plateau, or did you approach it in some other way? How did you overcome this challenge?
Yes, that has been kind of a big challenge. We want to have the best service, the best platform, and you also want that platform to be used by all, or at least most of your students. The selection of the platform, that also in our case got in line with when, in which year we are talking about. So, for instance, in 2011 or 2012 or 13, Skype was probably the most used platform for video calls. So that was like the natural use for us. However, Skype is or was a platform that anyone can install, so that's great. But on the other side, it doesn't look very professional to provide lessons on a platform which is free. Of course, now it exists, the Skype business, so it wouldn't be that bad in terms of how you look in terms for your customers. So it's important to show that you are professional, and at the end of the day, Skype was defined for video conferences, not for language training. Then after a few years, we got other platforms. So WebEx, Zoom came later, but there were other platforms like WebEx, which was now WebEx is Cisco, but at that time when it was WebEx, like a pay solution for meetings. So it looked like it makes more sense to have our lessons on that platform. Then to Zoom, because we thought it was easier to log in, so we had less issues for people who are not that good with computers. So Zoom was much better for that. But still, we were never happy about that, because those platforms were designed for meetings, and I love them. I use them, the three of them, Skype, WebEx, Zoom. They work very well, but for meetings, not this language. So that's why we started to look in the market about the solutions. That was terrible, terribly difficult, because there are thousands of solutions out there. Many are not exactly what we need. And finally, we found the LearnCube platform, which is very good for as a room where you can share your screen, or write and allow the students to write on the same document. You can upload documents, and you don't have to install any plugin or any software to make it work. So, and apart from that, you have the admin part. So the admin part allowed us to integrate with the rest of our solutions, our CRM and so on. and that also a big point that made us choose that platform.
Cool. One more question. In the conversation that we had right here on DojoLIVE with LearnCube's CEO, Alex Asher. So
I was saying, I know that company from something.
We had a conversation with Alex. Yes, Alex Asher.
With so many companies, you forget who you spoke with.
Exactly. So we talked about the topic. I remember back then was the disrupted future of education. So in the same train of thought, Iñigo, how would you say that Eszett might be aiming at disruption, or what does disruption mean for Eszett? Let's put it that way, in terms of education, technology, and also two areas. One, online education for the mainstream audience, or how can I say this, for the public in general.
Mm-hmm.
And also for intra-company training. So what is in store in terms of disruption for Eszett?
Yeah, I mean, times are changing all the time, but especially now, I don't really know what's going to happen in the future regarding language training for corporate employees or expatriates and so on. Until 1 year ago, most of this training was done face-to-face. Nowadays, everything is done online with a live trainer, so virtual. And we don't even know if our current students who are taking lessons virtually with a live trainer at the moment, if they will move back to face-to-face in a few months, hopefully when this pandemic is over. So this is kind of a big challenge. Also, the second thing is that there are different kind of companies or schools out there offering different kind of services. You can get from physical schools, so they have like hundreds of physical schools in different towns in different countries. So they are used to have coming to them. There are also companies that were created with a website only to deliver virtual lessons live. There are companies like Babel that have a self-paced solution. There are companies that operate in the relocation field, such as our company, offering now a lot of face-to-face, but with the new time and with the changes, all these services are requested by all kind of companies to all kind of employees. So the challenge that Eszett has at the moment is that we need to be the best at providing face-to-face language training in any country around the world. So we need to teach to teach in company. We need to have a very good virtual platform for our online training with a live teacher. We need to offer a self-paced solution so that the students can actually learn on their own. And we also work with private students. So we have also a business for private students that at this moment, they mostly do it online. And sometimes this is more like price sensitive. So we had to create groups like they do in physical schools, where a student joins with other students from around the world. This is different from a physical school, and they have better prices. So and all this needs to be with the right technology. So that's why investing in technology, in the beginning, it was kind of our choice, but now we need it, and we haven't stopped investing in technology since we started 10 years ago.
Great, thank you.
Right.
Kim, I think you had a question, Kim. Please go.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me okay?
Perfect.
Yes, perfectly.
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Go
Okay,
ahead,
perfect.
Kim.
Sorry, I think there's a delay here. Awesome. So, Iñigo, first of all, thank you so much for sharing much of your company. Going back to the tagline, you mentioned specifically paper language school. And obviously, with the way things are moving with the pandemic, paperless is what we're all having to do. And I know that your first problem, as I understood it, was with administrative side, right? Getting attendance sheets and whatever else you might need. How has that paperless transition also happened, if it has happened, in the classroom with your teachers, with your students, transitioning from the traditional book, workbook, notebook, and how are you able also to utilize technology and platforms that are available to incorporate all types of learners? So we've got the people who learn more visually, we have the people who learn, more auditory with music, and then we have the kinetic learners, which is where the actual paper, that touch, that movement of things is useful. So how are you able to incorporate all of this in a virtual setting and transition to that paperless element? What are you doing in the classroom specifically?
Okay, let me start by talking about the teachers. So let's take a teacher used to have the attendance report in paper, and then suddenly they need to install an app and get the signature from the student on their telephone with an app. This looks like something easy, right? But we've had to really create the simplest app ever, so that whoever takes that app, they are able to follow on the only like 3 screens, and then get to the signature part where the student signs. So we've had a number of problems, including like I cannot log in. So did you check if you have your caps on, and so on. Until I think we have like 1 or 2 teachers that they don't have a smartphone. So this is an issue for us. So if they are like teachers that we have like existing students with them and we want to keep them, then we can live with that. But otherwise, it's not ideal. The reason is because this attendance report is everything is digital, everything is real time, and our customers, they have access to that attendance reports, so they can see in real time how many hours each student has done until exactly now. So having some teachers that are unable to do that, it makes that our reports are not 100% perfect. So this is kind of a challenge with the second part of your question was regarding the actual lessons and also the materials and so on. So regarding the materials and the students, we provide either physical books or online books. Even if the lessons are virtual, we still provide the physical books in most cases. The students, they still prefer a book. So we send to them the book physically, and then they have the lessons with that book. On the side, we request our teachers, they need to share their screen or share documents. So normally, either they have the book on online version, or they take parts of the books and they complement with additional exercises all online. This part, moving from face-to-face to online, has been really challenging for many of our existing teachers. I would say that we have 2 kinds of teachers. One, our face-to-face teachers converted into virtual teachers because of the pandemic, and the actual full-time online teachers, which have much more experience with technology, and they know better how to manage a lesson. So yeah, with the pandemic, we couldn't really choose. So that if we have a teacher who is not very good with technologies, teaching face-to-face, but suddenly he needs to move or she needs to move to online, and the person is not very good with technology, we need to train. So we had to train all of our teachers, not only in our platform, but providing tricks about, I don't know, if you don't hear properly, just tell the students to mute for a while or switch off your video, and very basic things that many of the face-to-face teachers, they didn't know. And of course, we don't want to change a teacher because of that. Because the student likes the teacher likes the student, and it wouldn't be fair to do that. So
Yes.
we've had a number of conversations.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of adaptation and a lot of adjustments to compensate for what's been sprung upon us worldwide. I want to riff a little bit back to the comment you made about a lot of changes, keeping up with a lot of changes. One other phenomenon that has taken place this past year is sensitivity to the things that we say, especially if you say the wrong thing. Used to be we would confront someone, say, "What did you mean by that?" Now we have this sort of cancel culture where you just, shut someone out and don't talk to them ever again. So in languages, specifically, translating what is a normal thing to say, perhaps in one country, in another country could be construed as offensive. How are you dealing with helping with those sensitivities as it relates to, translating sayings or customs that might be okay in one place, but not going to be received well somewhere else? How are you working through that? Is that something that's coming up a lot more recently?
I don't really know if that's more on the spot recently, but for us, it's been like this since the beginning. Like language and culture, our teachers, not all of them, but most of them, whenever we have the opportunity, we try to work with teachers that are like international. Why? Because like this, they understand the culture of the student, and they can also tell them things about their own culture, which is very important. It's not only the language, it's not translating. Something that happened to me when I was living in Brazil is that sometimes we had meetings with people from the US or from other countries to present products and so on. And then the meetings were in English. Okay, so my colleagues, my Brazilian colleagues, and we were speaking in English, and then suddenly when you go to take a coffee, so then maybe the conversation switches into Portuguese, even if the person coming from abroad doesn't understand, but it comes into Portuguese, and then things that were said in English were totally different to the things that the same person 5 minutes after was saying in Portuguese. And that doesn't apply only to Brazil. It's like our culture, when we speak in a language that is our mother tongue, or that we are not 100% fluent, we tend to be more careful. We take less risks, and that happens more in some countries, such in Brazil. So culture is very important. And that's why our teachers need to be able to, together with the language, say things about cultural, and also the students appreciate that, especially when they are expats and they are already living in the country. They need to get that information about the culture of the country.
Thank you, Iñigo. We're coming up on time, but before we wrap up, what's that book, your favorite book, Kim, that everybody should read related to this topic?
Aaron Meyer, The Culture Map.
The Culture Map. Yeah, everybody should read that
Yes.
book. It's super useful
Written
as it
by
comes to
Aaron
what is appropriate or
you mentioned
inappropriate.
it several times, Tulio.
Yeah, yes. I actually read that part of that when I was going to Russia to present, and that prepared me because it was a very different approach to how you present there than I would in the US. So, been a very helpful book. Iñigo, it's been a pleasure to have you. We're up on time, but one final question. Investing in technology and transforming your business that has predominantly been a one-to-one, face-to-face in classroom setting, or completely online, this sort of dichotomy of both, to doing more of a hybrid. is there anything you've learned along this process that you'd like to share as an entrepreneur? Do you feel you should have done this earlier? Any lessons you've learned for yourself that you'd like to share for anyone else who may be sitting on the fence about transforming their own business to keep up with the times?
Well, I would say that it's very important, and this doesn't apply to language training, that it applies to every single company in any market. Investing in technology is not an option, so please do start investing as soon as you can. Second thing is that it's not easy, so it's complicated. So the top management needs to be involved, and when I mean involved, I mean fully involved. So otherwise, it won't work as you expect. And the third thing would be that investment needs to be intelligent investment, because you can expend as much as you want, millions in technology, and then your company will go bankrupt. So just invest in a amount and in the speed that your company needs and can absorb in terms of business. So mandatory, but not easy. But I recommend to invest the soonest, the best.
Iñigo, thank you for being with us today. I know it's quite late there in Spain. Stay with us as we wrap up, please. Carlos, what do we got coming up? We have, I think, 2 more shows this week, right?
Actually, yeah, one at 10 a.m. Pacific. And the conversation will be with Amit Agarwal, the founder and CTO of The Yes. And the topic will be growing a successful team and building tech within a startup. And then on the same day, tomorrow at 12 noon Pacific, we'll be speaking with David Tran and Jim Coleman, the principals of Xfusion, a support firm that works with software as a service companies. So that's what we have for. And then, of course, it's going to be on Monday. We're going to have the recap, as you know. We'll be recapping these 3.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us, everyone. And we'll see you again tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific. Stay safe.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.